at the 107 bridge.
This was the Flowering Bridge. Those are houses and trees. Just to give you an understanding of the devastation we're dealing with here. Chimney Rock's gone. Flowering Bridge is gone. And the road's gone.
Pinellas County. You know, when we first started tracking Hurricane Milton, Treasure Island had just begun the recovery process after Hurricane Helene. Devastating storm surge made it one of the hardest hit communities in our area. As Luke Clary explains, many people worried that Milton would bring more of the same.
Across the Barrier Islands, people were bracing for the worst from Hurricane Milton and a possible repeat of Hurricane Helene's devastating storm surge. Recovery once again on the Barrier Islands. As bad as it looks in Treasure Island, City Commissioner Arden Dickey says the overwhelming emotion today is relief.
Everybody that has come out felt the same way I did when they came out here. They were shocked that there wasn't more severe damage.
2 weeks ago, Hurricane Helene brought storm surge that pounded homes with seawater and sand. That's what caused most of the damage you see here.
It's absolutely terrible to see that devastation.
Clearwater resident Anloria Rasmus was hosting her brother from South Africa, where they grew up, when the back-to-back hurricanes came.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, and I come from a third world country.
When Hurricane Milton came, it brought high winds and rain to Treasure Island, but no major storm surge.
If the storm had come a little bit further north and we would have gotten that surge again, it would have been a nightmare. It would have been a nightmare, but because we didn't get hardly any water, we had a lot of rain, but that's not a big issue out here.
Now, the attention returns to clearing the sand from Sunset Beach and removing debris from several Barrier Island communities in the wake of Hurricane Helene. Everything and the kitchen sink and this massive pile of trash and debris on St. Pete Beach. This Little League field doubling as a makeshift landfill. But if you thought this was a big pile, there's an even bigger one behind it. The surrounding apartments and beyond bringing their trash to this place for collection. But this only scratches the surface of all of the cleanup left to do in the surrounding communities of the Barrier Islands. The wheels of commerce halted on the Barrier Islands. Now that Helene and Milton are gone, work crews are getting back to the business of recovery. Reporting in Treasure Island, Luke Clary, 10 Tampa Bay.
To begin with the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. The storm and the tornadoes it spawned caused widespread damage throughout Florida. Eva Pilgrim is on the scene in Lakewood Park. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, George. One of the deadliest parts of this hurricane is something people say they weren't even expecting. Take a look at this drone video that we shot. This damage that you see is not from hurricane force winds. It's from tornadoes that happened before the hurricane even made landfall on the opposite coast.
This morning, homes ripped apart, lives lost, killed by tornadoes spawned by Hurricane Milton.
Places that I saw looked like it was an atomic bomb blew it up.
At least 38 tornadoes reported in Florida, a record number of tornado warnings issued for the state. Homes shredded to pieces, neighborhoods left tattered. The top of this Fort Myers home completely ripped off. In Palm Beach Gardens, this dumpster flying straight into the roof. Governor Ron DeSantis surveying the damage, visiting St. Lucie County, where 12 tornadoes touched down in just an hour and a half.
Our number one goal is to continue our rescue efforts to rescue as many citizens as we can.
One of the areas hardest hit, Fort Pierce, where multiple people died in a small senior community, including 66-year-old Deborah Kennedy, who moved there earlier this year to care for her ex-husband. Her daughter telling ABC News, "I just want everybody to know what an amazing mother she has always been."
This is where we crossed, or tried to cross.
Across this tree?
Mike Johnson, who lives nearby, springing into action after the first tornado struck. Moments later, a second tornado touching down again in his neighborhood, causing more damage.
Why go over there? I mean, the weather wasn't good last night.
I heard somebody hollering help, so I went. You know, three of us went.
You didn't even hesitate?
Nope.
Not even until I noticed that the power lines were down, and then it hit me.
And I just want to show you the damage from here on the ground. We're at this church that's just in front of that neighborhood. This tree snapped, those hurricane shutters blown off, and the roof of the church there just completely gone. We saw crews out looking through the rubble in that neighborhood yesterday. I asked Mike, would you do that again? And without hesitation, Whit, he said, absolutely.
Wow, really is quite a scene out there. Eva Pilgrim for us, thank you. And we have more now on the destruction from Hurricane Milton. The search and rescue missions continue this morning, adding to the hundreds of rescues already across Florida, and millions are still without power. Victor Oquendo is in Venice with the latest. Victor, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. It looks like I'm walking on the beach, but none of this sand should be here. Milton pushed all of this in, and now these waterfront condos, which were cleaned out after Helene, are packed, stacked with feet of sand so high that when I stand next to it, I can see right over the roof. This morning, the wrath of Hurricane Milton, the damage widespread.
Born and raised here, never seen nothing like this.
These homes south of Sarasota, gutted, debris everywhere.
There's houses in the road, there's buildings in the road, everything's in the road.
This is a swimming pool,
5-foot deep swimming pool about where we're standing right now.
Massive amounts of sand pushed inland in Venice. Sand almost up to the window here, about 6 feet of sand in this room. And look, it's almost at the top of this doorway. And now I'm standing above the roof. In Tampa, high winds ripping the roof off of Tropicana Stadium, meant to be used as a shelter for 10,000 emergency workers, cots filling the field. St. Pete's streets flooded, water waist deep, many using boats to get around, but officials warning to stay out of the water, fearing scenes like these. An alligator brought ashore, attacking the vehicle. Search and rescue nonstop.
We're coming to you, be careful.
And amazing stories of survival. A 14-year-old boy hanging on to a piece of a fence pulled from floodwaters. And more than 500 people rescued by boat at this flooded apartment complex in Clearwater.
In some areas around it, it was neck-deep water, so over the top of vehicles.
Many Floridians left picking up the pieces for the second time in 2 weeks.
We had Helene that came by, we had everything cleaned up, and then all of a sudden this comes around.
Milton leaves behind a mess on both coasts. Nearly 2.5 million homes and businesses still without power. Now cleaning up, digging out, and rebuilding will take months. Rebecca?
A very long road ahead. Okay, Victor, thank you.
A majority of the reported deaths in western North Carolina are in Buncombe County. That's the Asheville area. The total reaching at least 72 people, and now we're learning one family lost 11 loved ones to landslides during Helene. Those in the Fairview community just southeast of Asheville say the group of homes where the family lived are completely gone. The Craig family being called pillars in the community. Sam Runyon is the close family friend of the Craigs and still trying to unpack how this all happened. He says the Craigs aren't important just because they're such a large family, but because they were larger than life.
You know, they call it Craigtown because the Craigs are there. It's kind of a country thing, I guess. But they're just pillars of the community. They would do anything for you. They really do have servants' hearts. That's the best way I could put it. They would be more uncomfortable around you for you to feel better. And they were just loving people.
Runyon says that there are even more members of the Craig family still living in that area. So far, a GoFundMe has raised nearly $100,000 to help with rebuilding homes, funeral arrangements, and medical expenses.
Rattling has begun in the U.S. from coast to coast, from land to sea. Her judgment is coming and fast approaching. Judgment will be in the U.S. because she has grieved the Most High to anger with her sins. Her cup is full and her sin has reached up to heaven.